Hello, welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix Race Notebook. And should we pick up on something we've been talking about in the pre-show first? Sorry if you're watching the repeat of this, it won't quite make sense. That's that. Force India have been calling to the stewards because apparently you can't see the number on the side of the car. Well, the cars are behind me over my right shoulder, and you can actually see, depends on where you sit and where you stand. If you're in the grandstands, you can see the number 11, can you see, on the side of the Pink Panther. But if you're low down with a camera, then you can't see the number 11. So I think that's what they're getting at. It really depends where you are. Actually, if you're in the grandstand, ooh, dances with forklifts. If you're in the grandstand, then you can see the numbers on the side of the car. But we'll see what happens with that. That's a strange one to go to the stewards with. So, shall we talk about Mercedes, seeing as we're actually there? You see Valtteri Bottas as the car is back in the garage, but that's Lewis Hamilton's victorious car in Parc Ferme. And it was really the... Well, you could argue that this Ferrari rather snatched defeat from the jaws of victory today, but it was all about the tyres that they were on. And look, there you can see the tyre on the side there after the contact with Hamilton, the Pirelli logo completely taken off the side after that little rubbing racing with Lewis. And that was good stuff. But unfortunately for Ferrari, it meant that because they were disadvantaged by the timing of the virtual safety car, they spent most time on the slowest tyre, which was the medium tyre, whereas Lewis Hamilton, having taken the medium tyre early on, then maximised his time on the soft tyre, and that was really what did for Ferrari. They, of course, did lose time behind Valtteri Bottas, Sebastian Vettel, and with the virtual safety car itself. We've got a good load of people here from British supporters there. Some wag with a Wenger out sign, so I've clocked you, sir, over there. Very good. But let's carry on with Mercedes then. Lewis Hamilton first, Valtteri Bottas, DNF. Did you see the Wenger out sign, Bob? Did you see the Wenger out sign? Always worth giving it. I know it's a bit of a thing, isn't it? And the barriers are up, but all you can see is Lewis P1. Mercedes claim that they don't think that they pushed Ferrari into the early stop, and that indeed Mercedes were never going to do a three-stop strategy. They were always going to do an early-ish stop onto another set of soft tyres if they were still in the lead, but then actually just mirrored Sebastian Vettel after the Ferrari got a great strategy, a great start, thanks to that new start system that they've got here. They actually, they decided to mirror the strategy and then do something different. But anyway, at the end, it actually meant that they just ended up on the soft tyre for the optimum number of laps and lucked into the virtual safety car. Should we do Valtteri Bottas? He clipped Kimi Raikkonen, who of course tagged Max Verstappen. You saw that. Played team tactics by racing, holding up more or less, Max Verstappen. Nothing wrong with that, but depending on whether you're a fan of each team, you might think there is or there isn't. And then there was the engine fail. That was, of course, after free practice 3. They had to change from the new engine because of a water leak and electronics problem as well. So that was really why, but they say it's nothing to do with the age of the engine. I've walked straight past Red Bull, which is remiss of me, so let's do that quickly. Max Verstappen, DNF, of course, after he was hit by Kimi, and Kimi hit Verstappen and broke the suspension. He was out. And but as for Daniel Ricciardo, third, and a pretty lonely race, of course, inherited P3 from Valtteri Bottas. Solid there, but did indeed finish 1 minute, 12 seconds behind the winner, Lewis Hamilton. Just a quick word on Lewis Hamilton's fitness, by the way, while we go to Ferrari. I did ask the team about this. Apparently Lewis is doing his own fitness in between races now. So he has his trainer, Angela, at the races. And then he used to have Ville, his physiotherapist, his trainer, in between races. And he doesn't have Ville anymore. Indeed, Ville actually is physio to Lance Stroll down at Williams. So Lewis does his own training in between races and does it to a standard that Mercedes are extremely happy with. And Lewis, of course, we always see him training very hard, or at least we see what he puts on social media. So I'd be surprised if Lewis has let himself go physically. But certainly he was given a good workout today. Right, let's talk about Sebastian Vettel. And yep, as we say, it's just that the tyres that they had, they spent the longest time on the slowest tyre, and that really was decisive for them after the virtual safety car. Great start from Sebastian Vettel with the new start procedure, as we've said. It was actually the second phase of the start was particularly strong, which is when he was feeding in that clutch and actually getting rid of the clutch and actually revving the engine. So was it an early first stop? Not particularly. They just didn't want to give Mercedes the chance of the undercut, so they went early. They lost a little, but they lost, of course, Sebastian lost time to Bottas, and he lost time behind the virtual safety car, and then he lost more time on the medium tyres. That explains why Sebastian Vettel lost it today. As for Kimi Raikkonen, a DNF, of course, through the Verstappen clash as well. But you'll hear, hopefully, the lovely story about how Ferrari arranged for that little French boy, the fan, to come up and meet Kimi Raikkonen in the Ferrari motorhome. So well done, Ferrari, because you made a little French boy very happy today. Now, it is indeed, I trailed it earlier, just got to watch these articulated trucks. It is indeed Force India who now have the record for finishing with both cars in the points at every race, taking that record over for this season from Mercedes, who had a DNF today. So well done to Force India. Sergio Perez fourth, and of course it's not a career best because he's been on the podium many times, but it is a career best for Esteban Ocon. There was a slow first stop for Sergio Perez with a slow front right, but Sergio Perez did his thing with the Williams mechanic's feet again. Did you notice this, boys? Sergio getting very close. They've all now disappeared. Sergio getting very close to the Williams mechanic's feet again.
Possibly, yeah.
Yes, possibly. He was a very naughty boy. I should actually find the Williams mechanics who also had almost had their feet taken off. So that's the second race in a row where Perez has almost given a pedicure to the Williams mechanics on there. I still want to find out exactly who it was, but Perez cut well across here, and again, sort of was shaking heads at the Williams mechanics. But great drive from Ocon for fifth as well. Hard weekend for Perez, but he came through with some great points. Now Williams, Massa 13th, Stroll 16th, and a horrible weekend for them with no points. And it was an okay start for Felipe Massa, but of course he was avoiding the Bottas, Raikkonen, Verstappen, and that meant that he got a slow stop. He had a front right puncture and a slow stop with it to change the nose as well, and that really compromised his entire race. He's pitted quite quickly after that, actually. That was just to avoid the blue flags, did Massa, so it wasn't a ideal strategy. Then they pitted under the virtual safety car again, Stroll and Massa, and went to the end of the race on the medium tyres. Stroll struggled on the medium tyres, and he was, of course, passed by his teammate Felipe Massa, even though Massa was further up behind the road. So Stroll had been further up the road. It finished Stroll 16th and Massa 13th, so a race for them to forget. Now, there is an explanation of sorts as to why Stoffel Vandoorne was so strangely caught out in a sort of showing not great racemanship, racecraft in the incident, actually, with the Williams. And that was because he never thought, he was going down the straight, and he never thought the Williams was going to close on him and try a move, the Williams of Massa, try a move into the first corner. So Stoffel, I'm told, was completely surprised that the closing speed of that Mercedes-engined Williams, and that's why I didn't really expect him to there, turned into him, and has got a 3-place penalty for the Monaco Grand Prix, which is really bad when you consider that the reason that they changed all these power unit elements on Stoffel Vandoorne's car this morning, taking the grid drop, all right, it was only one place on the grid, but still, taking a 10-place grid penalty, was because they wanted to make sure they had the levels of all power unit things topped up for Monaco when they think they're going to have their best, or they should on paper, have their best result. And then what do? Stoffel goes and gets himself 3-place penalty for Monaco, which is really disappointing. Also disappointed is Daniel Kvyat, because the strategy didn't really work for him. He started on the medium tyres and then pitted after lap 1, and then ran effectively a one-stop after that, going soft and then soft again, but finished 9th, whereas Sainz, with a more standard strategy, finished 7th today. Sainz said, we took our chances and we got both cars in the points, so it's overall a very positive day for Sainz and for Toro Rosso. But still, they only managed to get P7 off Wehrlein, because Wehrlein had, of course, that penalty. So Sainz 7 and Kvyat 9. Haas, a good day for them. Romain Grosjean 10th, his first points since Bahrain when he was 8th. And Kevin Magnussen 14th. Not a bad race, but really sort of compromised, racing Sainz out of the pits. And there was found to be, he did nothing wrong in that, but he couldn't really keep with Sainz after that, struggled badly. And then, of course, had contact with Kvyat and caused the puncture, and that really sealed the deal for K-Mag as to why he's down in 14th. Now, Renault, tale of two drivers, really. So Hulkenberg, one of the best races of the season, in fact, the best finish of the year for Nico Hulkenberg for 6th. but he couldn't get past Wehrlein for ages, but managed it eventually. But Palmer down in 15th. Now, he tried the same sort of strategy as Denel Kvyat. He started on the medium tyre, but then they waited until lap 2 to pit him, and then they pitted him, and it turned out it just didn't work at all, because then he had to do 2 stops after that. So Palmer ended up with 3 stops in total. Arguably sort of wasted 20 seconds doing that early stop, gambling on an early period safety car, which never came off. So that explains why Palmer was 15th, because he did effectively lose 20 seconds with an unnecessary pit stop. Sauber then finally, well done to Pascal Wehrlein, well done to the Stratis Ruth Buscombe, well done to Chevy Pujolar, well done to everybody in the team, well done to Pascal Wehrlein particularly, because that was a cracking drive. Great start, started on the soft tyre, went to lap 35 odd, did 1 stop, and then with a medium to the end, and then he got a 5-second penalty for racing Hulkenberg into the pit lane and doing covering the Renault, do what he does effectively, and then he dived too late to the right-hand side in the pit lane and got himself a penalty for it. But good race 2 for Marcus Ericsson. Let's not forget that, because he was 11th today, and that could prove to be crucial in the constructors. But hey, they were helped by the fact that you can't really overtake, or overtaking around here is very difficult. Don't tell that to Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton today. But really, that means that Sauber, of course, are up to P9 in the constructors, in front of McLaren, as Fernando Alonso goes to Barcelona Airport at the moment on a private jet in time for Indianapolis practice. That's it from the Notebook. We will be talking about Jenson Button taking his place in Monaco in a couple of weeks' time.